Congratulations to Emma Weyant, the real national champion in the women's 500 freestyle that America, or at least those of us with common sense, recognized back in 2022, but now the record books have to recognize as well, as justice is finally being served. The University of Pennsylvania, which has been one of the biggest perpetrators in the abuse and mistreatment and emotional blackmail of women over the past few years, is now agreeing to come to the table to sign a resolution agreement to uphold Title IX federal law to restore all records, titles, honors stolen by a man on the women's swim team to their rightful owners, which would, of course, in this case be women, female athletes, and to issue personalized apologies to every single woman who was impacted by this man's inclusion on the women's team. I mean, are pigs flying? I can't even believe this. Granted, they had $175 million hanging over their head if they didn't do this, which I guess is enough to make anyone find their spine. But even still, this is so historic. And again, the first step in accountability and transparency, responsibility, and again, justice being served. I say the first step because, of course, there is more to be done. We need the NCAA to follow suit, which is exactly why I'm suing the NCAA in the Gaines versus NCAA lawsuit. These are some of the things we're asking from the NCAA as well.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So the University of Pennsylvania have adjusted their records, acknowledging the female athletes who rightfully hold those records. Women who have since broken records since 2022 are now having their records acknowledged. So this is huge. There's also going to be apology letters sent out to the female athletes, according to the University of Pennsylvania. And they are making it clear that they are more than willing to comply with Trump's executive order. It's a huge development considering it's at the University of Pennsylvania where it all began. This was the university that allowed Lia Thomas to come onto the scene in women's swimming and dominate and win an NCAA championship. The University of Pennsylvania can adjust records, but they're not the ones who decide on who gets the NCAA championship. So of course, people are now calling on the NCAA to do the right thing. Emma Weyant, she is the rightful winner of the NCAA championship in 2022. Everybody knows those images of those women standing there with a man towering over them, claiming to be the winner, when we all know the rightful winner was the female athlete. What really gets me is in 2020, Emma won a silver medal at the Olympics, at the Tokyo Olympics, for the 400 meter individual medley. So the NCAA had an Olympic medalist competing in their competition. But all the attention was on a man. All the attention was on the male athlete. Riley Gaines has spoken about how their priority was to give the trophy to Thomas because she tied with him and get the photos of him holding the trophy. They prioritized the male athlete over the women in their own competition. So they had an Olympic medalist, but all they cared about was Lia Thomas. And they allowed the Olympic medalist to be robbed. So the NCAA, they have a lot of work to do. There are already concerns about their policy change because it still leaves the door open. We know that unattached athletes technically can still compete. Their policy talks about transgender athletes being able to train with female athletes and being given all other benefits. They've not made it explicitly clear that males are not allowed into the women's locker room. So we're still urging the NCAA to address those discrepancies. But now that UPenn have had this huge turnaround and are making the effort to correct the wrongs that they allowed, of course the NCAA has to do the same. Emma went on to get a bronze medal at the Olympics last year. They had a top athlete competing in their competition, and they made it all about the man. She deserves so much better, as do all the other athletes, even the ones who didn't even get to the championship because an extra spot was taken by a male athlete. Those women deserved better too. The NCAA should be writing their apology letters. They need to be doing the same. They have a lot to apologize for. And they need to give us reassurances that male athletes under no circumstances could enter into the women's locker room. I'm not keen on them training with the women either. Just compete in the correct category. And if you're competing in the men's category, train with the men. Unless it's a co-ed situation, that's different. I know sometimes women do train with male athletes. It helps with performance. It helps to, push us to our limit. So yeah, there are benefits to training with male athletes, but not just to affirm somebody's gender identity. That's not a good enough reason, because there are also risks when it comes to training with male athletes. And there are certainly risks when it comes to competing against male athletes. Many people are calling on the NCAA to revoke that national championship and award it to the rightful winner, Emma Weyant, from the University of Virginia. Since Thomas is a male who won a women's championship, somebody who has won multiple Olympic medals, you're going to look at her record and think, oh, what was her college career like? She came second. Surprising. And then people are going to look back on this and think, oh, wait, she did win. But that year, they were doing this experiment in women's sports, giving no thought to how it affects the women, forcing women to compete against men, allowing men into the locker room. And it's not going to reflect well on the NCAA. It's going to be a huge embarrassment. When you look up the 2022 NCAA 500 freestyle winner in women's swimming, Lia Thomas's name is right there. Emma Weyant, her name is under silver. Unacceptable. The young lady who came third, quote unquote, she deserves the silver medal. That name should not be there. And UPenn, they've taken the name away, put the woman's name there instead, but they have an asterisk. Note, Lia Thomas held such and such records, 2021, 2022. The NCAA, I don't know what they're going to do, but people are not going to forget this. They're not going to forget this, and they're always going to be wondering why you didn't put the woman's name where it should be. This is the women's division we're talking about. They should never have allowed this in the first place, but the least they can do is correct this record. Outkick did reach out to the NCAA and asked if they plan to vacate Thomas's national championship and other records and accomplishments to follow suit with UPenn. However, the NCAA did not respond to their requests. No surprises there. The NCAA has vacated titles from 20 schools for violations. So they are capable of revoking titles. They have done it, with many of those violations being much less severe than having a male competing on a women's team. So this seems like an easy one for the NCAA to rectify.
But hopefully this sets the precedent and sends a message to every single institution, high school, college, amateur sports, Olympic level sports. You cannot continue to discriminate against women with these regressive policies without the fear of backlash, again, in terms of public pressure and in the court system and from the Trump administration. I'll speak personally and say that I have been relentless in this pursuit the past 3 years. So to say I feel vindicated and again grateful for the leaders holding these people accountable would be an understatement. So I'll be waiting for my apology from the University of Pennsylvania, and I'll keep you guys updated.
So they have updated their transgender policy. They're banning male athletes from the women's division now, thankfully. The question now is whether they will also update their record books to reflect that policy and restore championships, records and accolades to women who were displaced by male athletes under their previous policy. And remember, it's not just one-on-one. One male athlete displaces one female athlete. That's not how it works. One male athlete displaces multiple female athletes. Riley Gaines said that Lia Thomas displaced 14,000 female athletes. 14,000.
It's this argument that it's a small percentage of the population. I hope you realize it's not a 1-to-1 ratio. It's not for every one male that's participating in a women's sport, it's one woman that's affected. In my sport, at our national championships, one male displaced 14,000 women. And I can speak for myself, I can speak for my teammates, I can speak for 99% of other female competitors on that pool deck. We all felt betrayed.
Which is absolutely shocking and appalling that this was allowed. I'm glad it's been put to a stop now. We don't want to see this continue. But these female athletes need to be compensated. In some way or another, they need to be compensated. And I would love the NCAA to acknowledge the damage that was done. Not just to change the policy, but to acknowledge the damage that was done to women's sports, to the female division, and to show a willingness to put things right. Because they have been on the wrong side of history up until this point. It's reflected very poorly on the organisation. And they should really be trying to build back their reputation. Fixing the records and the accolades would be a good start. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.